Hello, it's MP the tutor here again, and today we're going to look at expanding brackets, which is 1.2 in the Edexcel's A-level textbook. So there are several ways to go about these expanding brackets, but I'm going to use the same method for all of them, whether it be the simple ones like this or the more fiddly ones. Now, when I do normal multiplication, I use the grid way, and you can check out some of my other videos for multiplying numbers. But what we do is we split up the 4, and we have 2x and 3. Let me get rid of that line. So what we then do is we multiply 4 by 2 to get 8, and then x, and 4 times 3 is 12. So you kind of actually treat them separately, like going 4 times 2 is 8, and then 8x, and then 4 times 3. But I like using the grid, and then we effectively just add it together. So you get 8x plus 12. Boom. So what about the next bit? Let's go and make up another question like 3x brackets 4x plus 5. And again, we have times 3x and 4x and 5. 3 times 4 is 12. X times x is x squared. And 3 times 5 is 15 with an x. So what about this one here, where we have x plus 3 multiplied by 2x plus 5? Well, we just start off with, again, the multiplication grid. X and 3, 2x and 5. And then we have 2x times x gets you 2x squared. 2x times 3, 2 times 3 is 6 with an x. X times 5 is 5x. And 5 times 3 is 15. So we'd have 2x squared plus 5x plus 6x plus 15. Or we can just treat it as 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. So here we have something very similar, but now we have 3 bits in the first bit and 2 bits in the second. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. X squared, 2x minus 3, and 4x minus 5. Here, although I haven't written numbers, kind of like doing 1. 4 times 1 is 4. X times x squared is x cubed. 4 times 2 is 8. X times x is x squared. 4 times minus 3 is minus 12, and then an x. 1 times minus 5 is minus 5x squared. Minus 5 times 2 is minus 10, and then we just have an x. And minus 5 times minus 3 is a positive 15. Now I could write them all out as a nice long list, but what you'll find is they kind of group up so that the x squareds group up as a little loop, and the x's group up as a loop. So here we end up with 4x cubed. 8 minus 5 is a plus 3, x squared. Minus 12 minus 10 gets you a minus 22x, and then we just have a plus 15. And we can do exactly the same if there was a 3 by 3 or 4 by 3 or whatever. You just get the bigger and bigger grids. So let's say, for example, we had x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 6 and 2x plus 3. So we had to work that one out. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, because there's 4 bits in the first bit. 1, 2 in the second bit. Then you just write out x cubed, 4x squared, minus 5x, 6, 2x, and 3. In this bit here, we have 2x times x cubed gets you 2x to the power of 4. Here we have 2x times 4x squared, gets you 8x power of 3. 2x times minus 5 is minus 10x squared. Then we end it with 2x times 6 is 12x. Here we have 3x cubed. Then you end up with 12x squared, because 4x squared times 3 is 12x squared. 5 minus 5 times 3 is minus 15x. And 3 times 6 is 18. We then have our nice little loops of kind of pairs of the same number of each, so in terms of x squared, x cubed, and so on. So they kind of link up or line up, so you can add them up. So we get 2x to the power of 4, 8x cubed plus 3x cubed is 11x cubed. Then you have 12x squared minus 10x squared is a plus 2x squared. 12x minus 15x is minus 3x, and then you have a plus 18. So that here in a square is our answer, or that first bit multiplied out. Okay, so let's say I have just normal 2 times 3 times 4. Well, how do I work that out? Well, I obviously going to go 2 times 3 is 6, and I times that by 4, and I get 24. So what about if I had x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 4? Well, what I do here is I'm going to, first of all, work out that bit. So, do a little multiplication grid, x and 2, x and 3, x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, x times 3 is 3x, and 2 times 3 is 6. So that gets you x squared plus, we have these ones here grouped together, so plus 5x plus 6. And then we still then have the x plus 4. So then I'll just do another grid. So like with numbers, we have to work out the first two bits first. Multiply together. It's just the same with algebra. 5x and 6. And x and 4. X squared times x gets you x cubed. X times 5x gets you 5x squared. X times 6 is a wonderful 6x. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. 4 times 5 is 20, then x. And 6 times 4 is 24. So we have x cubed. Group the x squared together. You get plus 9x squared. 20x, 6x is plus 26x. Then you get plus 24. And you can do the same with 4 brackets or 5 brackets or so on. Now, if we had something like x plus 2 cubed, well, that's just the same as x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 2 multiplied by that x plus 2. So we might as well work that out. I'm going to do the first bit, a little square grid. That's x and 2 multiplied by x and 2. That gets you x squared. That's a 2x in that one. So x times 2 is 2x. Here we have an x times 2, which also gets you another 2x. And 2 times 2 is 4. That first bit then is x squared plus 4x plus 4. And I'm going to multiply that by x plus 2. Now we have a triple bracket. X squared, 4x, and 4 multiplied by x and 2. X times x squared gets you just an x cubed. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times 4 is just 4x. Here we have a 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 4 is 8, and x. And 4 times 2 is 8. We then collect our terms. So we have x cubed on its own. Then we have, come down a little bit, a group here, which is plus 6x squared. Then you have another group over here, which gets you plus 12x, and then you have a plus 8. So this x plus 2 in brackets cubed expands out to be like that. So I'm going to put the few of the questions from the textbook on the screen now. Why don't you press pause and then have a go, and in a moment I'll put up the answers as well. So have a little go now. Cool, so I've put the answer on the screen. Hopefully you've managed to get most of them correct, and mark them yourself. So put pause again, and just double check your answers. Make sure you haven't made any simple mistakes like an add to a takeaway, and things like that. And just have a little practice of these expanding brackets.